Well, the latest crop report shows about 23% of the Saskatchewan crop's been harvested in our province. That's behind the 5-year average of 40%. Let's check in now with crop specialist Tice Massich for more on what to expect this fall. Good morning, Tice. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jeremy?
I am A-OK. We are in the midst of harvest season. All the fields are busy right now, right across the province, but some are working a little quicker than others. What is driving the slower than average harvest speed this year?
It comes down to crop maturity and crops being ready. So there's a few different factors that played into it. So it was rainfall received during the growing season. There was quite a bit of rainfall in some areas of the province, but some areas were dry this year. So the variability in rainfall resulted in variability in crops being ready to be harvested. And then it was generally a cooler year, especially in July, which is critical for crop development. There were cooler weather, so there's less rapid maturity at that point because hot weather drives rapid crop development. So since it was a little cooler, we're seeing crops weren't quite ready to be harvested as early as they have been in previous years during this time. So that's why harvest is behind this year.
Okay, so I guess the Southwest is leading with 39% in the bin. They just got a bump from Mother Nature, you're saying?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. Yeah, I guess Mother Nature, of course, plays into it. So the Southwest early in the growing season, they had pretty dry conditions. So producers were able to get out the field fairly early, like as early as the middle of April, there were producers seeding crops in the Southwest. So of course, if they seed earlier, their crops are going to be ready to be harvested earlier. And then that's why we're seeing large progress in the Southwest. But even in terms of 5 and 10-year averages for the Southwest is still behind harvest this year relative to the previous 10 years.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, so how let's talk about the different grains. How are growers prioritizing the different crops that are out there right now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, of course, the winter cereal crops are planted in the fall. So those crops are going to be the first to come off, and pretty much all winter cereals. So that's winter wheat and fall rye. All of those crops have been off pretty much. You might see the odd field that still needs to be harvested. But and then after that, it's typically spring cereals and pulse crops that are the first to be seeded in the spring. So we see a good amount of those crops coming off right now. That's pretty much the crops that producers are focused on. I think about 2/3 of lentil and peat crops are currently being harvested. So producers will be wrapping up those crops in the next week to 10 days, I imagine. But a lot of producers are busy taking off spring wheat, barley, durum, oats, those kind of crops. And then canola is the other big one. So the oilseed crops are typically the last to be seeded in the spring, so they're going to be the last to be harvested. So not too many canola crops have been harvested, combined so far, but I expect in the next week we'll see a lot more canola crops starting to come off. A lot of them are being swathed, but not a lot being taken off right now.
All right, there we are. It's full steam ahead for farmers right across the province. Tice, thank you so much for an update here this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always happy to give an update.